This is live the whole time.
Okay.
In case they cut and you're like, you son of a... Honestly, that was the worst.
Right, yeah.
Just so you
Just
know.
assume that they're live here all the time. It's like email.
Gotcha.
So I did a quarter of the story. Let me do the other 3 quarters. Weekend today. I'm hanging out. For the first 2 years that I was there, I didn't really understand what was happening. I came in to be the lifestyle correspondent. Next thing you know, I'm like sitting across from Lester Holt, and I'm interviewing, David Gregory about politics, and I'm like, politics? Like, what time is it? Like, I was always asking the wrong questions. Like, politics? How many sit-ups can you do? But somehow I convinced the powers that be, or maybe I didn't. And then you came along, and it was very exciting to me because I worked at Channel 7.
Yes.
So, you play in your arena, right? So my arena was never the Today Show. My arena was whatever Channel 4 was doing.
Yes.
Whatever you guys did, you somehow did it better than we did. That's
really?
Trust
wow,
me.
That was a real compliment.
But I was in the sports department, and I was like sort of buried and like
I
whatever
watched you
it was.
in sports. I would watch you every weekend.
I barely did sports, Janice.
No.
It was basically stand-up comedy.
Every weekend, I would watch Jenna on the sports.
Sweet.
Yes, absolutely. And I was like, oh, she's great. And a lot of my friends really liked you as well, because especially the women, because they said, you know what, she's like, she breaks it down for us.
Yes.
And the people who don't really know sports, the women, it's like, yeah, girl power. And they loved you.
That was my approach. I wanted to do sports for an audience of my mother, so she could understand why she should care that Chad Pennington was playing this week and not sitting out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or my friend Marnie, who couldn't give a rat's butt why Chad Pennington would play or not play. Right. So I eventually morphed sports information. It eventually became funnier and funnier until basically I was doing like 3 minutes of stand-up, and then the last 2 seconds I was like, oh, I'm sorry, the Yankees won, the Mets lost, and the U.S. Open is probably coming to town soon, but you can Google it and look it up.
It was perfect.
Thank
you
very much.
Yes.
That being said, when I saw you, I got excited. I love Lester to death, but didn't get excited when I saw Lester. Didn't get excited when it was anyone else. But like you in perspective, I got excited.
Oh, cool.
And then what I really liked is that you and I sort of clicked.
Yes.
You would never think it was just an odd.
You wouldn't think, but that's what makes the best pairings.
Right.
Ones that you don't think about. And and actually, what I really loved besides you was the fact that you always talked about your dad and your dad
obsessed with you.
That was really funny.
Yeah. So my dad is obsessed. So this is Janice Huff. She's the meteorologist in WNBC in New York, the #1 market in the country, the #1 meteorologist in the #1 market. That's. Do you have all that on the business card, or is that what you just tell me?
No, but I think I should put it on there now. I'm really selling myself
short. It's only a mouthful when I say it. I think you should really.
I'm going to do that now.
So Dad is upset. My dad is beyond obsessed with you.
I love your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's because he loves you so far back. You have no idea how much he loves you.
So cute. It's adorable.
That was a good time. It was fun on the weekends.
It was so much fun. It's hard to describe how much fun we were having on that show. I mean, we did a little bit of everything.
Right.
We did as many things as the weekday show, maybe more.
And no one cared. There was no parents weren't watching us.
No, nobody was standing over and you can come in. Don't throw balls. I mean, we had a great time. A lot of fun.
And people don't understand that. Like during the week, to say the show is micromanaged, I mean, it is micromanaged. Mm-hmm. And then it's like they wear themselves out by Friday, the minute that show's over, and they're like, all right, whatever you want to do on the weekend, just whatever. Just don't get in
because
trouble.
The weekend is the weekend. I mean, it's that way in local news, too, or it's that way at night when I work, because I work on the 5, 6, and 11 o'clock news here in New York, and at 6:30, everybody's gone except us. Like, we're the only people left in the building almost, and it's very relaxing, and it's just nice. It's really cool. It's laid back and it's fun, and that's kind of how the weekend is.
Right.
So that's why I think we just had more fun.
Sheba Russell is saying that everybody loves Janice.
Sheba!
Oh, what's up, Sheba?
Miss you, Sheba. In Atlanta now. Yeah.
Oh, she's in Atlanta.
Yes. Hi, ATL.
Oh, very
Everybody
nice.
in the ATL.
See, I don't sound so natural when I say that. It doesn't flow from my. I'm like, hello, Ethel. Hello, Ethel.
Everybody in the ATL. Yeah, she was in Atlanta, so hi, Sheba.
For people that don't realize it, the affiliate world, it's an interesting business. The industry, I shouldn't say the affiliate world, the industry is an interesting business because nobody is anywhere for too long. I mean, you are really, what you have done is unbelievable because you've been here for how long now? 20. I mean, the fact that you don't even...
21
Janice.
and a half years. Wow.
20 years. 20 plus years.
20 plus. I'm trying to catch Chuck Scarborough, but it's not working out. He's been there like 40-something.
He's like the Jack Nicklaus of life.
But I'm second to him
Are you
on
really?
the air at WNBC. Well, no, I'm sorry. Gabe Pressman is first.
But you're on every day.
I'm on every
Every
day,
day.
so I'm second to Chuck.
That's very impressive. That
Yeah.
means you've been doing the same job at the #1 market in the country for 20 years. And there is, I'm telling you, for that to happen, it takes a lot. For most people, you guys know it when you're watching the news, like...
How did she do it from like 4th grade and then she's got
Yeah, exactly.
I started petitioning in
Or
the
the
4th
fourth
grade,
grade.
and I
Fifth
started
grade,
sending
decided.
letters to New York and said, listen, I'm going to want a job there in about 15, 20
Oh,
years.
I thought it was like next
But,
week.
but wait, is this what you wanted to do? Did you always know that?
No. I'll tell you what I wanted to do.
All right.
This. Weather is my life, sort
Right.
of. I mean, I grew up as a kid in South Carolina. I was born in New York, but I grew up in South Carolina, just loving the weather, watching the weather, clouds, the sky, storms,
Does that mean you were good
tornadoes.
at science, or you really just love being outside?
Both, actually. I love science also.
Okay.
So it sort of went hand in hand. And when I was a little girl, I would sit on the swings in my backyard and just look at the clouds and watch storms come in. You know, like literally, I was born like coming
Yeah,
out.
you were a weird
born
kid.
to
She was
be
weird.
I mean, seriously, I think it was just innate in a weird way. And when I decided to study meteorology was probably when I was about 10. Seriously, I was going through the encyclopedia at home. This was before we had the internet and
You
all
were
that
on
great
Britannica.
stuff. We had World Book. We
Oh,
had
World
in my
Book.
house.
Oh,
We were a World Book
excuse
family.
me.
But
Fancy.
No. So my mom had bought the entire set. I still have the dictionaries. I still own those, but I got rid of the other books. But I would sit on rainy days or days I was only a child, so some days I just didn't feel like going out and playing. I actually wanted to read, so I would read the encyclopedia. That was like a crazy thing. I'd pick a letter and say, okay, today's the A book, today's the M book. And one day I was reading through the M book and I saw the word meteorology, and then I saw what it meant, and I was like, oh, I love the weather.
I'll have that.
I'll have that. That's
Yeah.
what I'll
So
have.
I'll have the M, please.
I'll have the M, and so that's kind of how it started.
Yeah.
And then I decided to study it in college. I mean, through high school, everybody, all my teachers, my friends, everybody knew that that's what I was going to do. The TV thing, though, came much later.
Well, how do you do meteorology without doing TV? Just so
Because
people
not
understand.
all meteorologists are on TV, and not all TV people do weather are meteorologists. So it doesn't necessarily go hand in hand.
Okay.
I went to school to study science and to be a forecaster. And I had an opportunity right when I graduated from high school, and that summer between high school and college, that I was working with real meteorologists at the National Weather Service in my hometown, like as an internship.
Really?
Yeah, I'm there with grown-ups and people who are doing what I want to do, and people who are becoming mentors to me, and really smart people. And I absorbed everything that I could from them. And that's where I was going. That was my path. All the way through college, I planned to work for the National Weather
What do you
Service.
major in? Majored in
I
what?
majored in meteorology.
Oh, okay.
I actually majored in meteorology.
Wow, okay.
And that's where I was going. And then my senior year, we all found out that we weren't going to be able to get jobs. There was a hiring freeze in the federal government. It was in the 80s. And so I had to think of something else. And my friends were like, you should, because all they know is like people who do weather on TV. So they said, you should do TV. And I go, no, I don't really know if I want to do that.
Yeah.
That's not me. Now, what I didn't realize was it really was me until I took an internship at a television station my senior year
Where?
in Tallahassee, Florida, where I went to school at Florida State. Go Noles.
Oh, there you go.
And
Knew that was
yeah,
I
you
knew
that was coming. You knew it
I was
was
basically
coming.
counting down in my head. I was at 18 and you gave it to me. There it is.
F-L-O-R-I-D-A-S-T-A-T-A.
Wait, you were a cheerleader, weren't you?
Florida State. Yes, I was. Not in college, but in high school.
You were a cheerleader.
I was a cheerleader. And I'm always a forever cheerleader.
So you have, I mean, to me it seems so obvious. You have the personality, clearly, because you need it, right? It can't just be about getting on television and just, you know, sort of spitting out numbers.
It is about a little personality.
You have to.
Yeah.
And that's how you maintain some level of success, is by being engaging, right?
Yes.
And you have the meteorological background. Like, it seems like a no-brainer to me.
Well, but I wasn't thinking that way. That's
Right.
not where my head was. My head was totally into sitting in a room and going out taking observations and sitting at a computer.
Yeah.
That was where my head was.
Right.
And then something kind of spun me around, like violently,
Yeah.
and said, no, that's not what you're meant to do. And after the internship, I got my first job. I graduated and I got a job in Chattanooga, Tennessee. WTBC, the ABC affiliate.
And were you good at the job?
I was all right. It only lasted 6 months, but I guess.
Then you were on to something else.
And then, well, because they had a layoff, and I
Yeah.
first in, first out. So they had a layoff, and I was one of the people. But it was good because I got my first job and first experience, and then I went on from there in television.
How many jobs did you work at before you got to New York?
Let's see, Chattanooga, Columbus, Georgia, St. Louis, San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So I did Binghamton, Rochester, Philly,
Yeah.
MSG,
Well,
and then
and
Channel
then
7, right?
And then Channel 7, and then you came to us.
And then I came to
Yeah.
NBC. And for people that are like, you know what, I'm going to be on TV, so I'm going to send my resume, I'm going to be on TV. And I always say to them, like, it took me 13 years to get to the network, or to get to the number one. 13 years
And-
where I had to work in really crappy markets,
And it
long
wasn't,
hours.
It wasn't even like you were really thinking, I'm doing this to get to
No.
the network necessarily.
No.
It's kind of,
That's-
flowed that way.
But isn't that the right way to do it?
Yes.
You make all your mistakes back then.
Make all your mistakes. Don't even think about, well, one day I'm going to be in New York and I'm on my way. Don't even think. I always say that, you should be happy in the job that you do.
Yes.
Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. As long as you're happy, it's great.
Because
And you're
it-
successful.
Right, and because if you don't act like you're happy in the job you're doing, you're never going to
You're
convince
never going
anyone
to
you love it. You're never going anywhere else.
Exactly. And so just to kind of let it flow.
Yeah.
Just kind of let it happen. And
Yeah.
that's- my question to you is, which
Oh,
I
boy.
found, well, no, it's not too difficult. I think
Okay.
you can answer.
Wouldn't it be funny if I couldn't? I'm like,
Maybe.
call a friend.
Phone a friend
Phone a
here.
friend, there you go.
That I realized after being in the business for a while that for some reason sportscasters
Yeah.
can transition into many things within the industry of broadcasting
Right?
very easily. Brian Gumbel did it.
Right.
Let's see. Josh Elliott did it.
Correct.
You've done
Robin
it.
Roberts.
Robin Roberts has done it. How?
Correct.
What is it? What is it about that? Do you know, or do you even think about that? Because
You know what? I think that in the last couple of years, being a sports reporter, a sportscaster, was just like an extra extension to help people get the information, right?
Huh.
So if someone wants a score, no one's waiting for me to give you a score, right? You're online in 2 seconds,
Yeah.
you have the score. So we have to make ourselves useful in some capacity. So it became about telling like lifestyle stories, and it became about less about the actual score or the recap of the game.
Right.
There's so much crime in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
Cause for crime.
Well, maybe it's an ambulance going to take you to the hospital.
There's a lot of sick people in this
Yes.
area, I must say.
Okay. But just like I think
Oh,
we're there.
thank you.
Oh, by the way, there's a lot of comments, but Sheila says that she loves Janice.
I know. My parents
Sheila.
love Janice.
Hi,
My
Sheila.
dad can't figure out Facebook Live, but my mom has figured
Is that
it
your
out.
mom?
That's my mom.
Hi,
Yeah,
Mom.
I told you she loves. Anyone
Hi.
else that wants to hop in, feel free.
I love you.
She's probably
I'm
really
hot. May I
excited.
take my jacket?
Please.
I didn't think I
would
was
take-
going to. I didn't think I was
I
going to be
know.
saying that. But
Right.
layers.
Yep.
Layers. I have a coat
have
over
to.
there.
You come in with 4, you leave here. If you're wearing your bra, you're lucky. Like,
Yeah.
Sometimes the whole thing comes off. No, but
I don't do that.
I think it's a little bit different. It's starting to be with the weather now that you can actually go online now and see a 5-day or 7-day
Well,
or 10 days.
that
But
is
there's
true.
more information that you give than we have access to.
The thing about with weather and meteorologists and why we're still pertinent and important to this broadcasting job, even though you can go on your device and find the temperature and all that,
Right.
particularly when it comes to severe weather and information about things like climate change and stuff like that. The information, you can find lots of it, but in a severe weather situation like with Sandy,
Right.
Hurricane Sandy, or Hurricane Matthew recently, you need that live sort of back and forth immediacy that
Yeah.
we can give that the apps aren't going to give you.
Correct.
So we're still important and still relevant. And you can follow us on the apps as well and on your phone, live streaming like you are here. But it's that one-to-one conversation. It's that get the information out, let people know, inform them, immediacy that we are able to do that the computer still can't
So,
really do.
in the morning on WNBC on Channel 4 here in New York, these guys had this brilliant idea to do weather every 4 minutes, which in a business room or a conference room seems absurd, right? If I'm a meteorologist and I'm like, I'm sorry, you want me to do what? How often? I'd be like, let me tell you how much money I want for all this to happen.
That's what they said.
But let me tell you something. I wake up in the morning and I could go to my phone, but I would prefer to just wait, say, 3 minutes and have someone tell me the weather. I crave it. I want that.
Well, the thing about the morning shows, which is great, is it's almost like listening to the radio
Right.
because
You're doing everything.
Yeah. You're a mom.
Yep.
You've got things to do with your kids to get ready.
Right.
You got to get ready. I mean, there's things that are happening in a household in the morning. People getting ready for work, getting the kids ready. They're getting ready. And so you have the TV on.
Yeah.
And you're kind of watching it, but you're really listening to it too. So when you get, it's like in the car, when you get that, the weather comes up at 10 after or on the ones or whatever
Yeah.
it is, it's the same sort of thing. So you hear it, and if you pass by the TV, you might stop
Right.
and actually watch that, but you keep it on the entire time you're getting ready. So when you hear that ding, 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 or
You
whatever
get
it is,
super
then you
excited.
and then
Right.
you go to it. you
Right.
know? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we do. And I think the reason that so you don't need it so much in sports. There's very little sports forecasting that you're going to do.
True.
If you want talk radio or you want to hear people opine on whatever it is, you listen to talk radio, you listen to one of those shows.
Right.
So I think we have to be able to sort of transition away from just hard sports into more lifestyle stories, which is into news of the day, and then it's an easier transition, I
Yes.
think, for us. Whereas we need you, and we want you, and we now have you, and we get you.
Thank you.
And that's why you've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
You're ridiculously engaging, right? So it's almost as if I would say, like, if someone said, name one person in TV that's never been in a bad mood a day in her life, my first person, would be Lester. But
Yeah,
you're like,
I was gonna say probably not.
but you're like a close 7th or 8th. Like, you're definitely. No, I'm just kidding.
no.
But you're always happy, and I get that with TV, you have to be, and I get that. But I remember going on the air, and there was. I could say it. There was a lot of shit going on behind the scenes that wasn't always easy and comfortable, and we had to make ourselves look. But I never could pull it off with such ease that you do. And I'm not saying that because you're sitting here. You happen to be one of the more pleasant people to really sort of garner information.
Well, I think part of that is that's just my makeup. Not everybody's happy in the morning. People are grouchy. That's understandable.
Right.
Not everybody's excited about, the day-to-day. You got stuff going on. And so not everybody's always in the best of mood in the beginning of the day. It just so happens that that's just my nature of who I am.
Yeah.
I tend to be in a good mood most of the time. I tend to be kind of laid back and just sort of letting it all just kind of roll.
Right.
And that's just a certain personality, that's all. I have bad days. I have bad moments. I have wicked moments.
I can't even imagine.
Well, you don't want to see that.
I don't want to see that.
That's the point. It's like
No.
that's not the one.
No,
That's
don't
not the
ruin my
Janice Huff
Janice
you
Huff.
want to
No,
see.
that's not what I want.
Because I kind of go from one extreme to the other. So I tend to try to keep it on the
Gotcha.
good side of things as much as possible.
Yeah.
But it's not that hard for me to do. But it isn't easy for everyone.
How many days a week do you get the phone call that's like, oh, I'm going to a wedding in South Carolina. What's the weather gonna be like? Oh, 3 Thursdays from next Tuesday, I'm gonna be outside for a minute. What do I wear? I'm packing for a trip. What do I wear? Do you get that all the time?
We do. And what's interesting is sometimes we get phone calls here in New York, that we're in local news, but we get phone calls from people and they go, right now, I see it's snowing outside, and like it's a day like this here.
Right.
It's snowing out. I want to know how many inches it is per hour. And I'm like, where are you?
Right.
And they're calling from Minot, North Dakota, because
Right.
they think we're the Weather Channel.
Yeah.
Someone has transferred them over because the Weather Channel is
Yeah.
part of NBC Universal and stuff.
Right.
So they've transferred them over to me. I'm like, oh, this is so not the Weather Channel, but we can give you that
We can give you
information
the
probably.
information.
So.
Well, I only ask that because if my pleasant, lovely, dearest of all dear moms, if I tell you how many calls have been thwarted, she has probably over the years asked me to ask you
Oh yeah.
16 dozen times, can you just call Janice? I'm like, she's
Listen.
not a circus act, Mom. You can hire her for weddings and bar mitzvahs.
My friends call me from California. They call me
They
from
do.
Florida. They do. They still do.
Well, I want you to know that Dylan has picked up a lot of that
I
extra work
love
while I was
Dylan.
there.
I
so.
love her, and she is she having the babies yet, or she's about?
She's
to
about to have the babies.
about to have her
Dylan Dreyer
baby.
is in
Oh.
the cone. She's
Yes,
in her
she's-
cone. Yes, Lance. It sounds like someone.
So somebody was asking if you're friendly with Al Roker. If you're friendly with Al Roker.
Well,
You like
let,
working with Al.
let me just say, Al. I actually took Al's place when he went to the Today Show. I worked with Al for a
Oh, that's
year
right.
in local news because Al was in local news before the Today Show. He was our weatherman.
Live at 5.
Live at 5
Yeah.
and all the rest. So he was like our main weather guy, and I came in doing the weekends. And yes, we worked very closely together. I've known Al for many years. His wife Deborah and I have known each other since Columbus, Georgia days in the 80s, because she was in that market too with me.
And she's Deborah Roberts is now on ABC.
ABC. So I've known her for many years, and I've watched Al's kids grow up and blah, blah, blah. So when I got the call, when the call came that Al was going to the Today Show, they said, Al's going to the Today Show, so you're going to be considered to be his replacement. But they're going to be interviewing other people. I'm like, okay, you know, it's like, I'm not expecting anything. It's like, wow, I'm even shocked that they would consider me. So I just kind of went along, and I went on vacation. And while I was on vacation, about a week later, I got the phone call. They said they decided to give you the chief meteorologist position in Al's place, and Al's going on to the Today Show. So that happened in 1996, the year of the blizzard. In March of 1996, because that's when I came in 95. So it was like a year later. And I've been in that spot ever since. So yes, Al and I are very, very friendly. We've known each other a very long time.
Well, there'd be no you now if it wasn't for Al.
If it wasn't for Al. That's right. There'd be no me. Is that a song?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you guys enjoy the, like, so I'll say when I was working in the sportscast, when I was in the sports department, you know, as you lead up to something big, so say when the Yankees were in the World Series, it was fun. There was like excitement, and suddenly we were important, and they were going to give us more time during the show, and people cared about us, and like we weren't having to fight for time every night, which is what you do. Please, an extra 10 seconds. I beg you.
2 seconds. Please.
You can have my child. Like, that's all we ever wanted was more time.
Yeah.
Well, tell me, for people that don't get it, what's it like? What's the fever like? The temperature like? No pun intended. When there is a Hurricane Sandy, or maybe not even here. I'm sure here it's insane, but like a Matthew, where you guys are following a natural disaster and people are really tuning into you.
Well, let me just preface it by saying we never, ever, ever want to see people get hurt.
Correct.
That our main focus in what we do in terms of alerting the public to disaster, impending disaster, is to make sure you get out of the way of it, so that you aren't hurt. Property can be replaced, those kinds of things, but you, your pets, you know, everybody, your family, get out of the way. So we're not at all excited about that at all. We do get a little pumped up about the event itself, because it is an event.
Sure.
You know, on a day-to-day basis, when we're talking about weather, it's kind of like this.
Right.
Partly sunny, temperatures 54. I'm just making that.
And I'm getting excited.
It's probably
I'm getting excited.
But I'm hot up here. It's good.
Yeah.
It's a pretty regular thing on a day-to-day. But when we have an impending, sometimes it's a disaster. We always hope it's not, but impending storm that we know is a big deal, and we have to get into gear to cover it for the people out there, then we get a little, our heart does flutter, and our minds race, and everybody, all hands on deck. Everybody's in. We work 12-hour shifts during Hurricane Sandy, and Irene, actually. We worked 12-hour shifts. We were on constantly, to the point where we were kind of exhausted from talking.
Yeah.
Where we're not, and we're begging for time.
Yeah,
but,
welcome to my life here at Lance. Go on.
I tried to provide enough time.
I know you have.
4 hours a day.
4 hours straight without stopping.
I think he's good. I think he's good.
Good?
What?
Oh, good for me.
Yeah, good for you.
All right. We'll discuss that later.
But we get a little.
You obviously missed the cinnamon segment.
Oh, I got a little mad at him for something, and we won't get into that right now.
I like the cinnamon.
Yeah.
Cinnamon rolls. That's what I really like.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh, okay, then that's good. But so we do get pumped up and geared up, and we're ready. Because that's like our moments when we're really working hard,
right? And
giving everybody as much information as we can. And with Sandy, we actually saw Sandy coming before it came. Most people in meteorology, these computer forecasts that we use, we call them the models, and they're numerical models, and they're done by computer, and they are guidance. They help us predict the weather, and there's lots of them. And in a hurricane situation, there are several, and we watch those little spaghetti lines coming up, and we look at the data, and Sandy was predicted almost exact to the moment and the landfall in New Jersey of what the European forecast model had been saying, and that was days out. And usually when you see something like more than 3-4 days out, you kind of go, well, the forecast will adjust, all kinds of things can happen, variables can change, blah, blah, blah. And this was so consistent, it frightened us.
Because it was so close to the European model and not the American model, or just that it was so close to
just
any
that it was
model?
close to any model. That there was a model that was being consistent with the run every time it came out. That it was bringing it right into the New Jersey coastline. We were frightened to death. We were afraid. We were afraid, and this wasn't like it was a Category 5, although the storm had been a lot stronger right before it got here. But in meteorology and in weather, we all know that we give you those numbers like Category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 when it comes to intensity of storms.
Right.
But it only tells us that what is the strongest. A Category 1 hurricane is still dangerous and deadly.
Yeah.
So is a tropical storm. Can be deadly because of flooding, torrential rain. So can a tropical depression. It depends on where you are, the terrain, and all that kind of stuff. So anytime you hear the word tropical, just stand by. It doesn't matter if it's a hurricane yet. If it's tropical, you have to stand by. So we were just gearing up for what we didn't even know.
Yeah.
We had no idea, even though we knew it would be bad. We had no idea exactly how bad because we'd never seen anything quite like that before here.
Right.
So we were giving you a worst case scenario in our minds, but it was even a worst case scenario. So it's
Because I think what happens is you guys predict, like, kind of what happened with Matthew. Like, it's predicted that it's going to be what it is, and if it's anything shy of that, people get crazy. And they'll go, I'm never listening to you again. And I left, and that must bother you.
But, well, it bothers us in that we are afraid for the viewer. It doesn't bother us that, somebody thinks that we got the forecast wrong, because we don't want to ever get anything wrong.
Right.
The thing about it is it wasn't like it was a wrong forecast. It's a tropical system that has to interact with many things when it's moving. That's why constant updates are necessary.
Yeah.
But you want to get people out of harm's way early enough. You can't wait to the last minute when it comes to storms like that. You have to get them out early enough. And it bothers us that people might think that because the next storm comes, and it could be far worse and different. Every storm is different. Just because you live through Irene or Camille or Katrina doesn't mean that the next storm will be exactly like it, but you have to prepare for it like it's the worst thing that might happen to you.
Right.
And that's what we fear and we're afraid of when people say those things.
Are we done with hurricane season? Is it over?
Actually, November 30th. We have a couple more weeks.
How often do we get a big hurricane?
Well, last year we had a hurricane in January. This year we had a hurricane in January.
Did we?
Yeah, but it didn't affect us here, but it was in the Atlantic. So, nowadays hurricanes it seems like they can happen a lot out of season.
Right.
It's not likely that there would be a big storm, but it could happen, I'm sure.
And then I have to just ask because
We do have like a large international audience
We
at
do?
this point, so maybe just
keep
like
going with
a reset.
Oh, so we're talking to Janice Huff. She is the chief meteorologist at the #1 market in the country, WNBC, here in New York. And she's also just a cool chick. Like, let's just be honest right here.
I just like being
No,
the coolest
listen,
of cool.
there are many people that do what we do that I can't sit and just
this
chomp at the bit, talk
this
and
is true,
have a
but
conversation.
one great thing I've always loved, I loved working with you, was first of all, you're witty and you're quick and you're funny and
thank
just
you.
and very warm and friendly. People always ask, what's Jenna like? And I'm like, she's just cool. That's what I would say all the time.
Thousands and thousands of people approach Janice to say,
millions
of people to say, what's Jenna like?
Seriously, and I would say she's just cool. Like, she's really cool.
Thank you.
Seriously.
I really appreciate that.
I take cool lessons from you.
You're awesome. I don't even remember what I was going to say. Oh, yeah. So the question I had for you is, we all like to say something is because of something. Like, is it supposed to be warm now? It's going to be 74 this week. Have we done? Is that our fault? Did we do something wrong that it's going to be 74 this week?
No. I mean, it's fall, and fall has transitions. We go from cold to warm to cold to warm.
And that's normal?
That's not unusual. What's unusual is that if the trend, if this were to continue into like January, like this back and forth, then that's the concern.
Okay.
When you see things that are sort of out of the ordinary for a period of time, that's what climate change is about.
Right.
So right now, it's not totally unusual.
Okay,
although
good.
it's a little late. It's November, and November is when we really start to set into the cold wave of things, and fewer days when it gets up to 60, barely gets to 70. But if this continues into January, then we've got some issues.
Problems.
Yeah.
Realistically, how far out can you predict? 10 days are not real, right?
No, the forecast, the computer forecast can do the trend out to 10 days. Actually, a little bit longer than that. We show 10
Because you can't fit any more on that screen.
We can't get any more.
As it is, I'm like, what
I know,
does
you're
it say?
like, what?
Right.
But the forecast is most accurate within 48 hours. After that, there tends to be too many variables that can change, like, I don't know, wind, humidity, pressure. A lot of things can change after that time period. But the forecasts are actually a lot better than they used to be. So you can go out 5 days now and be pretty darn accurate. So I would say definitely within 48 hours, but even the 5 day. We like to give the 10 day as an advance sort of notice because we can, and it does predict. And usually you get to the 10th day and it's pretty close if you go back 10 days before, but it may change a bit. The temperature actually may change a bit. There might be a few more clouds or less clouds or something like that. But
jump in if there's a question, because I'm just going to keep steamrolling through Janice Huff.
Keep going, yeah, like we're
So I always found as a sportscaster that when I got around other sports people, like, I mean, occasionally we would talk about sports, mostly we just sort of bitched about the business or the industry. But, you know, as a viewer, I watch other stations now that I'm not only at the Today Show at different times, because of the kids, whenever I have the ability. So, like, you know, you see different styles, and before, all I knew was you and Al. Like, that's all I ever really watched, or in the morning, I would, you know, but now you see other people, and I always wonder, I'm like, now, would that guy get along with someone like Janice? Like, if they were at a conference together, what in the hell would they talk about? I mean, how often are you with everyone else? Because we found that I was always with Bruce Beck and Scott Clark. Like, we found ourselves at events more often. Because you guys don't have events that often, but when you all get together.
We have conferences that we all generally attend. There's a big broadcasters, too. Broadcaster conferences that happen every year where we tend to see each other. Occasionally we individually get together with different people. Like Audrey Puente is one of my really close friends, so I see her.
Oh, nice.
Stephanie Abrams I just saw recently.
You just had Stephanie here.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
So
like you and Mr. G, you're probably always like hanging out, walking down the street together.
No, not Mr. G so much. Although when I see him, it's like, hey, G, and you know we're cool and stuff. But so, and occasionally we have like a picnic and somebody hosts it and invites all the weather people. That does happen occasionally. We used to do it like every year. We haven't done it in a while. Maybe we should do that. But, you know, we don't see... Let me tell you something about meteorologists. Meteorologists are wacky, wild people.
Wait, no,
yeah,
come
no,
on.
seriously.
No, you're
Everybody thinks we're very geeky and, you know, we're just like all about this... Let me just say,
tell me.
We know how to party.
Get real, Janice.
We know
Get
how to party.
real.
We know how to party. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. The stories, I could tell. But I wouldn't dare. No,
Wish you could. Why are people so, like, my mom will, I don't understand it. Sometimes I'll call, like, what are you doing? She's like, watch TV. What are you watching? The Weather Channel. Oh, are we getting something? No. So what are you watching? The weather. Where? In Austin.
In Austin or California.
Let me see if I understand what this covers. You're just literally watching the Weather Channel? People are obsessed with weather.
People are obsessed with weather because it is the one solitary thing that affects everybody's life one way or the other every day. Nothing else really does.
That's interesting.
You have to get dressed every day when you get up. You don't walk out naked. Most people don't. Occasionally you see a person. Here in New York, you can see anything.
Quite often.
But you have to get dressed before you leave the house. So you got to get the kids dressed. So you have to know what's the temperature, what's it going to be like the rest of the day.
And everyone
and everybody who has to leave the house, or even if you don't leave the house, want to know.
Right.
So yeah, it's not unusual. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. Okay, stop. All right, but yeah,
that's good.
Our musical segment.
Yes, it could be fully.
You never know here, but yeah. So
we're going to do a segment on cheerleading also.
Well, Janice will be the one we bring in. You were really a cheerleader.
I was a cheerleader in high school.
Yeah.
I don't think I can still do a split though. I tried one day, like about a year ago.
And you broke your vagina.
I knew how that story was going to end. I don't know what it was, but I broke something. But maybe if I practice. You let me know ahead of time and I'll practice and see if I can get it down. Yeah. But yeah, so I can understand why your mom would want to sit. I mean, I don't generally sit and watch the weather like that. But if there's a big event going on, no matter what it is, we'll watch it. We turn the Weather Channel on at work. We turn it on the monitor and we watch it. You know, big storm coming on the West Coast. Might affect us. Big storm in Florida. Any hurricane, any tropical tornado outbreak. We watch it.
Do hurricanes affect every country in the world? I mean, we don't...
Not
Why do I
every
feel like
country.
It only really affects the Caribbean and the United States?
No,
you never hear
typhoons.
About a big...
Typhoons are hurricanes. Same thing, but in the Western Pacific.
Well, what about like in Europe? You never hear about a hurricane.
No.
Are they protected?
No. It's just that by the time the remnants of a hurricane gets to them, it's what we call extratropical. It's no longer a tropical system, but it could be like when Matthew went up, and it does go somewhere. Even though it's not a hurricane anymore, it does keep traveling around the world, and it gets caught up in the jet stream and other systems. But sometimes Europe can be affected by the remnants of big tropical systems. Once they get there, they don't have the tropical nature.
Right.
But they still might have a lot of wind and rain, and
John is actually asking if there's any tie-in between hurricanes and global warming or climate change.
The tie-in would be it's more like the trends. Does climate change? Will climate change cause hurricanes to be more intense? That's a possibility. If the ocean keeps warming up consistently over time, and systems keep coming off of Africa like they do when we watch storms develop.
Africa.
Seriously, when they come off of the African coast, it could be serious because it's a long way to travel to get to here.
And they just keep building.
And they can. A lot of the big, large storms got their origins off the coast of Africa, some of the bigger storms. But they don't always intensify or they don't always hit land. We can't predict where they will go.
Right.
But in terms of the intensity of storms, over time, we could see more intense hurricanes. Or you could see hurricanes sort of like we said, like out of season.
Yeah.
Not during the typical hurricane season if the ocean continues to warm, which it seems like it is. Typhoons. We're getting more super typhoons.
And a typhoon is a hurricane.
A typhoon is a hurricane. Hurricanes and typhoons are the same system. A typhoon is in the Western Pacific, which is like Asia.
Yeah.
And they call them typhoons there. Here we call them hurricanes, but it's the same.
And a typhoon could turn into a tsunami.
No.
Cool. So I got that down.
All right, and while you're at this, because there's another question here, to work in cyclones or how cyclones.
Oh, cyclones. We didn't even get to cyclones.
Well, a cyclone.
Is that like a tornado?
A cyclone and a hurricane and a typhoon over the ocean. A cyclone is the same. Like Australia, the Indian Ocean gets cyclones. They name them like typhoons and hurricanes. They just call them cyclones.
And wackier names.
Names pertinent
like
to the
Ian.
area. Like Ian.
Like Ian.
Like Ian. Well, the World Meteorological Organization is in charge of all that.
Yeah, and we should talk about that because let me tell you what they do at Jay every year. Skip
right
right
over Jenna.
Right over Jenna.
There's not been a Janice.
Right. Oh yeah,
There's no
the
Janice.
Jay, they don't like us with the Jays.
No.
They really, really don't.
Javier there was recently, but no. And they
go through the whole alphabet.
Well, they go through the alphabet, but they also tailor the names around the regions of the world where the hurricanes affect people.
Okay.
So in the Americas,
Yeah.
in the Caribbean, North America, the names can be Spanish names. They can be American names.
Yeah.
There's sort of a mix. In Asia, they're Asian names. In the
Right.
South Pacific, they're those types of names. So the names are tailored to the region.
Well, it kind of bummed me out.
I know, I'm bummed.
I mean, two reasons. One, we used to watch Romper Room, and you would think Jennifer
Oh,
would
I
be
know.
always said, never did Jennifer or Jenna, forget Jenna. And then I was like, all right, well, at least I've got the hurricanes down pat. Like, how could they
No.
pass over Jenna? There's going to be at least a hurricane every year, Janice.
I don't even think Jenna or Janice is in the list over the next 10 years.
Come
Come on!
I
don't think so. I
It's such awful.
Is there a
news.
Lance coming up?
Who wants to be hit by
I don't know.
Hurricane
I have to look
Lance?
at. Well, there could be a hurricane Lance.
Why?
Just
What are we up
because.
to now? Matthew,
Well,
LM.
Matthew
Oh, we
was.
already
No, I
missed
think we
L.
did the L already. I
We
have
already
to look
missed
it
All
up.
right, well, that's not that important. We can pick it
Yeah,
up
we
another-
did that.
We can pick it up another.
Yeah, we'll look at the list. I'll let you know if it's coming. But
Thank you.
I don't think ours is definitely. He'd probably get a hurricane before we.
Great, thank you.
I
That's
just.
what you
I
need.
would
I'll probably
like.
reap destruction upon Earth before you
If
two.
we would like a hurricane named after us that stays in the ocean and doesn't hurt anybody.
Correct.
That just stays out.
But there's something about it, like it's
Yeah.
ginormous and
Well,
causes tidal waves
we
that
had
don't kill
Hurricane
anybody.
Lester this year.
Oh,
That's what it
yeah.
was.
All
And so
right.
Lester was like, "Oh my gosh, I have a hurricane named after me." Yeah, you sure did.
It's so
Macho,
important.
yeah.
Macho. There's so much machismo wrapped around
And
him,
it alternates like boy, girl, the lists.
just to be fair.
And then just to be fair. And
Next year they're including transgender names just to make sure everybody's equal and they're bringing everybody
Oh
in.
yeah.
Hurricane Alex. They'll start with Hurricane Alex.
Okay.
What's your schedule today? You just spoke for like a full 30 minutes and now you have to
Wow.
go to work and like
I don't know how I'm
keep
going to do
talking.
that. Well, this was great because I never get to talk this much at work. I'm usually
Right.
only on like a couple of minutes.
No.
So
This is
great.
fantastic.
I thank you so much for inviting me.
I
to this
love it.
space and just to talk to you and see you again.
It's
been a long
really
time.
nice because people think all the time that because you're at work and you're with other people, you're all hanging out and but
Yeah,
we're not.
no.
Our schedules and our assignments are all over the place.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky or if you're all in town at the same time, and like I wouldn't bother even trying to get down and have lunch with Lester before the election season.
Oh
and
yeah, it's a little busy right
it's
now.
really, really busy.
Yeah, but right after, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like say Wednesday morning, like I want to see people meet me for a 6 a.m. class.
Maybe like a couple of weeks after.
Maybe a couple of weeks
might
after
be available.
we would do that. But there are a handful of people that I left the Today Show just absolutely having so much respect for and so much admiration for and missing. And you were definitely one of them.
Oh, you're the
So-
best. I miss you
Oh,
too.
you're so
I had
sweet.
such a great time working with you.
Yeah,
I really
it was
did.
a lot
It was
of fun.
Yeah.
You were one of the few people where I learned how to clip the microphone onto
On your boot.
Yeah, so you have to find a place to put your mic pack because we walk all over the place. We're not holding a microphone. So
We don't have
Janice-
that issue here.
No, we do
No,
not.
you've got
Janice wore
Great.
high boots, and she would
I would
clip
clip
it to
them.
the. You were the first person I saw do that. Clip
Yeah.
it to the back of the boot and then run it up your dress.
Yes.
Yeah,
Boots are multifunctional.
they were really.
Not just for the
She
weather.
had snacks in there.
A
She
lot.
had her iPhone
There's
in
a
there.
lot going on there, and I would
There's
just
a
keep
lot.
pulling things out.
Yep, a lot in those boots.
Oh, so
Janice.
that's where that was.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Years later, you're like, I was looking for
I've
that.
been looking for that.
Turkey sandwich that I
Jeez.
just found. So you're on 3 to 11.
Yeah, I'm out. Yeah, I got it. I get ready. Start
that
like
the
around
norm?
2:30.
Yeah.
And I start with the 5. Yeah, so 5, 6, and 11.
How many shows? You guys have like 27 shows now.
Oh my gosh, we added a 4 o'clock show.
That's Lester's son,
Yes,
right?
Stefan is with us, and Natalie
Lester's
Pasquarella
son.
and Dave
Yep.
Price. So we started that show, and so yeah, we have a lot of
You
news.
have 4, you have 5, you have 6, you have 11.
11. We used to have a 7 o'clock show.
I remember that.
That was on our other channel, but that's gone. because
But
we
if
started
there's
at 4.
even like the tiniest bit of news, you throw in a 7 o'clock and they make it.
we'll
like,
throw it in there.
Right, like
We have-
election night or
Yeah, oh,
Big
yeah.
or something. You're getting
Absolutely.
like 27 extra shows.
Probably.
But those are the best nights because then instead of getting a full 3 minutes, like they don't care about you.
No.
You have 1 minute to come on and give us everything.
I could almost do it from my house. I wonder if they would consider that. Like, if I could be at
Be like,
home.
Hey guys, it's me.
Yeah,
yeah, you can
here's
be fine
the 7.
tomorrow.
Here's the 10
You're gonna
day.
be good.
Because really, people just want to know: do I need the coat tomorrow?
That's
what do
it.
I need?
Or an umbrella.
Or an umbrella. So I think on election night, because it looks like now, according to our predictions.
Oh yeah, tell us.
That the weather looks great here in New York. Other places you have to check your local, weathercaster and
Right.
meteorologist. But the weather looks decent here, so people can get out and vote. The weather shouldn't be
Yeah.
a problem here. So far so good. on
Okay,
election.
so how many like free calls do I get to ask for a big event that I'm going to or what to wear to something?
Oh, you mean in the future?
Yeah, like how many times can I call you and be like, oh, I have such and such. What should I wear? I don't want to overstay my welcome into your
Let's see.
into your
Usually
presence.
I allow 1 a year. But
One
for
a year?
But for you,
Janice!
I'll allow like 8.
All right, I get 8.
You get 8.
Okay, fine.
Oh.
You are awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you. This is
Like
total fun.
this
These
was
guys are
better than
great.
even having lunch somewhere because we really get to catch. Just
Yeah.
we did this but without the gossip.
Oh
Next
yeah,
time
that's
we'll,
right.
like,
Candy.
throw in
We'll
the
go
gossip.
somewhere else and do the gossip.
And do
but
all the
yeah,
gossip
it's all
stuff.
good.
Yeah, it's
Yay!
fantastic.
Bye, everybody.
Good luck, Janice Huff. She's on every day at 5, 6, and 11.
5, 6, and 11 on WNBC
Channel
News 4 New York. Watch us.
She's as good as it gets.
Or go get our app. You can also stream us live.
Oh, that's
on the app.
right.
And you can also be followed on Janice Huff.
Janice Huff
NYC.
4NY on Instagram, Twitter. I don't personally have a Facebook account, but we have Storm Team 4, our Facebook page.
So we'll do
and,
that one.
And Storm Team 4, our Twitter page.
Let's get your social
Storm Team
media
4
numbers as
NY.
high as we can.
At Storm Team 4 NY. At Janice Huff 4 NY.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's me.
Gotcha. Awesome. You got it all too?
Yep.
Amazing.
Yay.
You're the best.
No,
Thank
you're the
you
best.
so much.
No,
all right,
thank
fine.
you.
All right, we'll end it with me being the best.
Okay,
So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
just for today.
It's your show.
Next time we meet, you can be the best.
Okay.
For all
right, cool.
Please tell everyone I say hi.
I will, definitely. This is
Awesome.
really fun.
Thank you. All right, we'll take a
Let's
break.
take a picture. The
Oh.
camera's still live.
This guy's still alive right here, Jack.
Okay, we have to take
Hi,
a
Charlie.
picture.
Yeah.
Picture. We have to take a selfie.
Look how pretty it is. Come stand here with the sun.
Oh my gosh,
on.
this is
It's gorgeous.
insane. Now, is this your own?
No, it's
Cabana?
my neighbor's. Because
Oh.
when we bought our apartment, they had already unsold. Do I even see myself?
Awesome. So I'll be
And then we'll
getting
go
this
to
all
our
out.
Facebook page and Instagram page and all of it.
the best. This is really fun. So how is your family?
Everyone's
Everybody.
great. Stephanie's really busy.
Yeah, well, I don't see her as much. I used to run into her in the hall
I
sometimes.
know.
I don't see her as much.
They moved everybody, right? Where's?
Yeah, they're on 4.
Oh, forget it's live.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, this is live.
Yeah, they're on 4.
They're on 4. But she's good. She's all over herself.
Yeah, there's a lot of
20
complaints
months
about my shaky hands.
They're like
I was like,
talking,
yeah,
eating
you
like
find an
adults,
80-year-old man who
arguing
doesn't
like
shake.
adults.
It's okay.
Like I walked into the bathroom this morning and Harper was peeing. Just, I want my privacy.
3?
3 years old. I said, let me tell you something about your privacy,
Little girl.
child. That's not
Little
great.
girl.
But she's really great.
That's great. I'm happy for you.
And I'm having
Love
fun
her.
here doing this.
You do this every day?
Yeah.
Every day.
It's really
Every day. Yeah, and I'm
Yeah, there is.
plans
Find it on my.
that,
There is.
a few years from now, everyone's going to be doing this.
Right now.
Like actual content on live streaming is there is nothing right now. So we're
Yeah.
just starting to do it, and I get to sit down. Whereas you could do like 5 minutes maybe with someone, like I could
Right.
actually sit and talk to them
And have a
for
real
half hour,
conversation.
conversation.
Do you take it on the road at all? Or
Yep.
are you going to do cool?
Especially when it gets cold, like I'm doing something in Vegas at CES.
Oh,
like
great.
we're gonna go out there and do a show there, and then we go to comedy clubs, we go to restaurants, we'll go to like stores, like wherever. That's the beauty of it. I mean, look, that's what it is. It's phones.
Isn't this something?
It's really
Where
cool.
we have come now in
They just-
technology.
you're
It's
watching
just
it right
amazing.
there.
Oh my God, it's so cool.
All right. Well, good luck today.
Thank you very much.
I hope you try not to suck. Really try to make sure your words come out all right.
It's
don't
tough
screw
some
anything
days.
up.
I'm gonna try not to screw it up.
I mean, I don't want to get in your head, but yet I hope I'm in your head.
And as soon as I do, I'm gonna say, "Hey,
That Jenna.
That Jenna, look at what she did
It's
to me."
always her. You're amazing, lady.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you. Say hi to everyone for me.
I will.
Perfect.
Let me get my stuff.